The alien princess extended her crystalline hand toward Queen Helena, her translucent features shifting between amusement and something deeper. Your Majesty, I propose we unite our worlds through marriage. Commander Jake Morrison felt his pulse spike behind his tactical visor. Protocol demanded silence from the Royal Guard during diplomatic sessions, but this declaration shattered every briefing they'd received about the Zalithian delegation. The princess had arrived 3 days ago for trade negotiations, not matrimonial discussions. Queen Helena's fingers tightened, almost imperceptibly, around her ceremonial scepter. Princess Lyra, surely you jest. The alien's laugh resonated like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Among my people, humor and sincerity often share the same expression. Consider it both. Morrison scanned the throne room's perimeter. His team of 12 guards maintained perfect formation, but he caught Lieutenant Grace Chen's subtle eye movement toward the exit protocols. The Zalithian honor guard stood motionless, their energy weapons powered but not raised. Your proposal lacks diplomatic foundation, Queen Helena replied, her voice carrying the controlled authority that had ended 3 wars through words alone. Our species have never discussed such arrangements. Princess Lyra stepped closer to the throne, her movements fluid like liquid starlight. Your people fascinate mine. Your queen's wisdom echoes across the galaxy. I have studied your customs, your strength, your remarkable ability to lead through compassion rather than conquest. Morrison noted the slight forward lean in the queen's posture. Interest, not offense. His tactical analysis shifted from protection mode to observation mode, though his hand remained ready near his sidearm. My customs require careful consideration of such matters, the Queen said. These discussions involve councils, treaties, extensive negotiations between our governments. Of course, Princess Lyra replied. But first, we must know if the Foundation exists. Do you find merit in the possibility? The silence stretched across the marble floor like a held breath. Morrison watched the Queen's advisors exchange glances behind their diplomatic masks. Chancellor Roberts maintained his poker face, but his fingers drummed once against his tablet. Queen Helena rose from her throne, the action commanding every eye in the room. Walk with me, Princess Lyra. We shall discuss this privately. Morrison's training kicked in instantly. Private conversations meant modified protection protocols, closer surveillance, heightened awareness of threats both external and diplomatic. He signaled his team with precise hand movements, initiating Formation Delta. As the 2 royals moved toward the palace gardens, Morrison positioned himself within hearing range, but beyond direct sight lines. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the crystal dome overhead, creating patterns that shifted like living art. Your proposal surprises me, Queen Helena said as they walked beside the flowering hedges. Not because it lacks merit, but because it demonstrates remarkable courage. Princess Lyra's form shimmered slightly, a sign Morrison had learned indicated emotional response among her species. Courage or foolishness often appear identical until the outcome reveals truth. Indeed. The Queen paused beside a fountain carved from earth marble and Martian crystal. Tell me why you believe our union would benefit both worlds. Humans unite thousands of cultures under shared values. My people possess technology that could enhance human capabilities while learning your methods of peaceful coexistence. Morrison observed the princess's body language. No deception indicators, no signs of manipulation. Her proposal seemed genuine, which somehow made the situation more complex rather than simpler. And personally, Queen Helena asked, beyond political advantages, what draws you to this suggestion? The princess moved closer, her crystalline features catching the light. You rule without cruelty. You protect without dominating. Among my people, such leadership is revered above all other qualities. I find myself captivated by your approach to power. The Queen's laugh was soft but genuine. You flatter me, Princess Lyra, but flattery and foundation for marriage are entirely different matters. Then let us build that foundation, the princess replied immediately. Grant me time to prove my sincerity. Allow our peoples to know each other beyond trade negotiations and diplomatic formalities. Morrison watched Queen Helena consider this request. Her strategic mind was clearly calculating risks, benefits, and precedents. No human monarch had ever married an alien royal. The legal implications alone would require new frameworks. How much time do you request? The Queen asked finally. 1 month. Allow me to remain as your guest, not merely as a trade representative. Let our interactions determine whether this jest might become something more substantial. The princess extended her hand again, this time palm upward in a gesture that Morrison recognized as the Zalithian equivalent of a pledge. Queen Helena looked at the offered hand for a long moment, then placed her own palm against the crystalline surface. 1 month, the Queen agreed. But understand, Princess Lyra, that my acceptance of this trial period indicates curiosity, not commitment. You must earn any deeper relationship through authentic connection, not royal obligation. The princess's features brightened literally, her skin gaining luminescence. I ask for nothing more than the opportunity to try. Morrison felt the diplomatic tension shift into something entirely different. Personal stakes, emotional risks, and the weight of two civilizations watching their leaders navigate uncharted territory. His protection duties had just become exponentially more complex. The next morning brought unexpected challenges that tested Morrison's expanded security protocols. Princess Lyra requested permission to visit the public markets, claiming she needed to understand human society beyond palace walls. Queen Helena agreed, requiring Morrison to coordinate protection for both royals in an environment designed for civilian interaction, not diplomatic security. The marketplace buzzed with activity that made tactical surveillance nearly impossible. Vendors called out their wares while shoppers navigated crowded aisles between stalls selling everything from fresh earth produce to Martian textiles. Morrison positioned his team in overlapping coverage patterns, ensuring no angle remained unwatched. Princess Lyra moved through the crowd with obvious fascination, her alien appearance drawing stares but no hostility. Human curiosity had evolved considerably since first contact decades earlier. Queen Helena walked beside her, explaining the cultural significance of various goods and traditions. Your people seem remarkably adaptable, Princess Lyra observed as they paused at a spice merchant's stall. They accept differences without fear. Not always, Queen Helena replied honestly. Acceptance requires education, exposure, and time. Fear often stems from ignorance rather than malice. Morrison noted how the princess absorbed every interaction, every conversation, every gesture between strangers. She was studying humanity with genuine academic interest, not political calculation. At a children's toy vendor, Princess Lyra stopped abruptly. A small girl, perhaps 6 years old, was crying because she had dropped her wooden doll and broken its arm. Without hesitation, the princess knelt beside the child and extended her hand toward the damaged toy. "May I?" she asked gently. The girl's mother started to intervene, recognizing the alien royal, but Queen Helena raised a subtle hand requesting patience. Morrison's team tensed, ready for any scenario, but maintained their positions. Princess Lyra touched the broken doll with one finger, and her skin glowed softly. The wood fibers began reconnecting, rebuilding the damaged arm with perfect precision. Within moments, the toy was completely restored. The little girl's eyes widened with wonder rather than fear. "Thank you, pretty lady," Princess Lyra smiled, her features radiating warmth. Toys should never stay broken when they can be healed. As they continued through the market, Queen Helena remained unusually quiet. Morrison noticed her thoughtful expression, the way she occasionally glanced at the princess with what appeared to be growing appreciation. "Your healing abilities could benefit our medical research," the Queen finally said as they stopped at a cafe for refreshment. "My people would gladly share such knowledge," Princess Lyra replied. "But healing extends beyond physical repair. Your people heal hearts, minds, societies. That skill proves far more valuable than cellular regeneration." Morrison watched their conversation develop into something deeper than diplomatic courtesy. The princess asked genuine questions about human governance, social structures, and cultural evolution. Queen Helena answered with increasing openness, sharing insights she rarely discussed outside her inner council. "Why did your proposal include marriage specifically?" the Queen asked, during their private moment at a corner table. "Political alliances can be forged through treaties without personal bonds." Princess Lyra's luminescence dimmed slightly, indicating emotional vulnerability. "Among my people, the strongest alliances require personal commitment. Treaties can be broken by future generations, but bonds between individuals create lasting connection. My grandmother's marriage to a neighboring royal ended centuries of conflict between our worlds. And if I were to decline your proposal after this month, then I would respect your decision completely and work to maintain the friendship we've built. My feelings, whatever they become, should never create diplomatic pressure or personal discomfort for you. Queen Helena leaned back in her chair, studying the princess with obvious assessment. You speak of feelings as if they might develop genuinely. Is that not how human relationships begin? With possibility rather than certainty? Morrison observed the queen's reaction carefully. Her diplomatic mask was slipping, revealing something more personal underneath. The princess's straightforward honesty seemed to be affecting Helena in ways that formal courtship never could. Most royal marriages begin with political necessity, the queen admitted. Personal feelings, when they develop, come secondary to duty and obligation. How unfortunate, Princess Lyra said softly. My people believe that relationships built on genuine affection create stronger political foundations than those constructed purely from strategic advantage. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion near the market's entrance. Morrison's communication device crackled with urgent warnings from his perimeter team. A group of protesters had gathered, carrying signs opposing alien integration and demanding human-only governance. The crowd's chants grew louder, drawing attention from other shoppers. Morrison immediately initiated protective protocols, signaling his team to create an evacuation corridor. Queen Helena and Princess Lyra needed immediate extraction from the increasingly tense situation. But as Morrison moved to escort them towards safety, Princess Lyra stood and walked directly toward the protesters. Queen Helena followed without hesitation, leaving Morrison no choice but to adapt his protection strategy on the fly. "Citizens," Princess Lyra called out clearly, her voice carrying without amplification. "I understand your concerns about our people's growing relationship." The protesters' chants faltered as they realized they were being addressed directly by the alien royal they opposed. Morrison's hand instinctively moved toward his weapon, but Queen Helena's subtle gesture kept him in ready position rather than active intervention. "You fear that alien influence will diminish human culture?" Princess Lyra continued. "This fear demonstrates wisdom, not ignorance. Protecting your heritage shows strength and love for your people." Her diplomatic approach caught the protesters off guard. They had prepared for confrontation, not respectful dialogue. Queen Helena stepped forward. "Princess Lyra speaks truth. Change should enhance our strengths, not replace them. Any relationship between our worlds must preserve what makes humanity remarkable, while exploring new possibilities together." One protester, a middle-aged woman holding a Humans First sign, lowered her placard slightly. "How can we trust that aliens won't change us into something we're not?" "By ensuring that any changes remain our choice," the Queen replied. "No relationship, political or personal, should require abandoning core identity. Growth should expand who we are, not replace who we've been." Morrison watched the crowd's energy shift from anger toward genuine curiosity. Both royals handled the situation with masterful diplomacy, turning potential conflict into productive discourse. His respect for both leaders deepened considerably. Princess Lyra addressed the crowd once more. "I ask only for the opportunity to prove that different peoples can strengthen each other without losing themselves. Judge me by my actions, not by assumptions about my intentions." The protesters didn't disperse immediately, but their hostility had transformed into cautious willingness to listen. Morrison coordinated his team's withdrawal while maintaining protective positioning, allowing the diplomatic moment to conclude naturally. As they returned to the palace, Queen Helena walked in contemplative silence beside Princess Lyra. Morrison noticed the queen's posture had relaxed considerably, suggesting the market experience had exceeded her expectations rather than creating new concerns. The third week of Princess Lyra's visit brought unexpected developments that challenged Morrison's protective protocols in entirely new ways. The alien royal had requested permission to observe Queen Helena's daily governance routines, claiming she wanted to understand human leadership methods firsthand. Morrison found himself providing security for increasingly intimate political moments. Council meetings, private advisory sessions, judicial reviews, and strategic planning discussions all required his team's presence while maintaining diplomatic discretion. Princess Lyra's observations during these sessions revealed remarkable insights about human political structures. She asked pointed questions that exposed inefficiencies while offering constructive alternatives based on her people's experiences with interplanetary governance. Your democratic principles create stability through shared participation, she noted during a budget review meeting, but your implementation sometimes prioritizes process over effectiveness. Queen Helena paused her examination of agricultural funding reports. Explain. Your council debates extensively before reaching decisions, which ensures thorough consideration. However, some issues require immediate action that extended deliberation prevents. My people learn to categorize decisions by urgency level, with different approval processes for each category. Chancellor Roberts leaned forward with obvious interest. How do you prevent abuse of urgent classification? Triple oversight with rotating authority, Princess Lyra replied immediately. No single individual can declare urgency without confirmation from 2 randomly selected council members. Abuse attempts become statistically impossible. Morrison watched Queen Helena process this information with the focused attention she reserved for genuinely valuable intelligence. The princess was contributing substantive improvements to human governance, not merely observing for curiosity. During the afternoon's judicial review session, Princess Lyra proposed modifications to the appeals process that could reduce processing time by 60% while maintaining accuracy standards. Her suggestions demonstrated deep understanding of legal complexity, combined with alien perspectives on justice and fairness. Your people's approach to rehabilitation intrigues me, Queen Helena said as they reviewed sentencing guidelines. How do you balance punishment with social reintegration? We focus on repairing harm rather than inflicting equivalent damage, Princess Lyra explained. Offenders work directly with victims to understand impact and develop meaningful restitution. Punishment alone rarely prevents repetition, but understanding consequences often does. Morrison noted how their professional discussions gradually included more personal elements. The Queen shared examples of difficult decisions she'd faced, while the princess offered insights from her own leadership experiences. Their working relationship was evolving into genuine intellectual partnership. That evening, Queen Helena requested private time with Princess Lyra in the Palace Observatory. Morrison positioned himself strategically to provide protection while respecting their need for personal conversation. Under the star-filled dome, both royals appeared more relaxed than Morrison had ever seen them. The formal masks of leadership had been set aside in favor of authentic interaction between 2 individuals exploring unexpected connection. Your month here has exceeded my initial expectations, Queen Helena admitted as they gazed at distant galaxies. I anticipated diplomatic courtesy and cultural exchange. Instead, you've provided genuine partnership and personal growth. Princess Lyra's luminescence brightened softly in the darkness. Your leadership style has influenced my own approaches to governing. Humans excel at building consensus without sacrificing decisive action. My people could learn much from your methods. And yours from mine, apparently, the Queen replied with evident satisfaction. Your suggestions this week have addressed problems my advisors struggled with for months. Morrison observed their body language carefully. Both women had moved closer together during their conversation, their postures indicating comfort and mutual respect. The diplomatic distance that characterized their early interactions had dissolved into something approaching friendship. Helena, Princess Lyra said, using the Queen's personal name for the first time Morrison had witnessed. May I ask how you feel about my original proposal now that you've had time to know me better? The Queen was quiet for several moments, her gaze fixed on distant stars. I find myself considering possibilities I never imagined 3 weeks ago. Your presence has changed my perspective on leadership, relationship, and the potential for genuine connection across species lines. Does that consideration extend to personal feelings or remains purely diplomatic? Queen Helena turned to face the princess directly. Both, I think. You've proven yourself as a leader, an advisor, and a person worthy of respect and admiration. Whether those feelings could develop into something deeper remains to be discovered. Then you're willing to explore that possibility? I am, the Queen replied after another pause. But such exploration requires honesty about challenges we would face, public opinion, legal precedents, cultural differences, and the tremendous responsibility of setting examples for both our peoples. Princess Lyra moved closer, her crystalline features reflecting starlight. Every meaningful relationship faces obstacles. The question becomes whether the potential rewards justify accepting the risks. Morrison noticed movement in his peripheral vision and shifted his attention to approaching figures. Chancellor Roberts and his aide were crossing the observatory floor with urgent expressions that suggested important developments requiring immediate attention. "Your Majesty," Roberts called softly. "Urgent communications from the Galactic Council. They request immediate response regarding the trade negotiations." Queen Helena sighed quietly but smiled at Princess Lyra. "Duty calls as always, but this conversation continues tomorrow." As they walked back toward the palace's communications center, Morrison reflected on the remarkable transformation he'd witnessed. 3 weeks ago, he was protecting a diplomatic meeting between strangers. Tonight, he was observing the development of something unprecedented in human history. The final week of Princess Lyra's visit, intensity escalated beyond Morrison's preparation for any diplomatic scenario. The Galactic Council's urgent communication revealed that other alien civilizations had been monitoring the developing relationship between Princess Lyra and Queen Helena with considerable interest. Additional alien delegations requested immediate diplomatic audience with Queen Helena, each claiming interest in establishing similar relationship frameworks with humanity. The political implications had expanded from bilateral consideration to galactic-scale precedent setting. Morrison's security team doubled overnight. Protecting 2 royals had become protecting 5, each with different cultural protocols, security requirements, and potential threat profiles. The palace transformed into a multicultural diplomatic complex requiring unprecedented coordination. Princess Lyra's presence became crucial for more than personal reasons. As the only alien royal with established rapport with Queen Helena, she served as cultural interpreter and diplomatic facilitator for the arriving delegations. The Krathari ambassador arrived first, a reptilian humanoid whose species communicated primarily through pheromone release. Princess Lyra's translation abilities proved essential for meaningful dialogue, while Morrison's team adapted protection protocols for chemical-based communication methods. Ambassador Sethrak expresses profound interest in the relationship model you and Princess Lyra have established. His people seek similar connection with humanity, but lack understanding of your cultural approaches to partnership. Queen Helena navigated the complex conversation with diplomatic skill, explaining human relationship concepts while learning Krathari social structures. Morrison noticed how often she looked to Princess Lyra for cultural guidance. Their partnership having evolved into intuitive cooperation. The Ethereal Collective's representative materialized next, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline housing similar to Princess Lyra's physiology, but infinitely more complex. Their communication occurred through light-frequency modulation that only Princess Lyra could interpret accurately. The collective expresses fascination with emotional bonds between individuals influencing political policy, Princess Lyra explained as colorful lights danced within the entity's containment field. They wish to understand how personal feelings translate into governance decisions. During these intensive diplomatic sessions, Morrison observed Queen Helena's growing dependence on Princess Lyra's cultural expertise. Their working relationship had become seamless, with each anticipating the other's needs and responses. Professional partnership was clearly evolving into something deeper and more personal. The third delegation from the Mechanoid Confederation presented entirely different challenges. Their robotic representatives communicated through binary data streams that overwhelmed human cognitive capacity, but proved perfectly accessible to Princess Lyra's advanced mental processing abilities. The Confederation calculates significant efficiency gains through human-alien governmental integration. Princess Lyra translated, they propose systematic relationship protocols based on mathematical optimization rather than emotional development. Queen Helena's response revealed her personal evolution during Princess Lyra's visit. We appreciate systematic efficiency, but human relationships require emotional foundation to achieve lasting stability. Mathematics alone cannot account for the complexities of personal connection. Morrison watched Princess Lyra's reaction to this statement. Her luminescence increased noticeably. suggesting the Queen's emphasis on emotional foundation held personal significance for their developing relationship. After 3 exhausting days of multilateral negotiations, Queen Helena requested private consultation with Princess Lyra about the various proposals and their implications for human-alien relations. "Your people have become the center of galactic attention," Princess Lyra observed as they reviewed diplomatic summaries in the Queen's private office. "Every species now seeks relationship frameworks with humanity." "Because of our initial example," the Queen replied. "Our personal exploration has created political precedent that affects billions of individuals across multiple worlds." Morrison noted the weight of responsibility in Queen Helena's voice. Personal decisions between 2 individuals had somehow evolved into diplomatic frameworks that could reshape interstellar relations for generations. "Does that pressure influence your feelings about our relationship?" Princess Lyra asked directly. Queen Helena set down her review materials and faced the princess completely. "It clarifies them, actually. I've realized that my feelings for you have developed beyond diplomatic consideration or political advantage. I genuinely care about you as an individual, independent of any governmental benefits." Princess Lyra's entire form brightened until she resembled a living star. "Helena, are you saying—" "I'm saying that your month here has convinced me that genuine relationships between our species are not only possible but potentially remarkable. And I'm saying that I've developed real affection for you personally, separate from any political implications." Morrison felt the emotional intensity in the room shift dramatically. He was witnessing a moment that would likely be recorded in history books. But more importantly, he was observing 2 people acknowledge genuine feelings for each other. Princess Lyra moved closer to Queen Helena, her luminous features expressing joy and vulnerability simultaneously. "I came here with hope based on admiration from distance. I leave having discovered that personal connection can exceed even the most optimistic expectations." "Then you're leaving with positive memories," the Queen said softly. "Only if you want me to leave," Princess Lyra replied. "My proposal stands, Helena. Will you consider making our relationship permanent?" The silence stretched between them, while Morrison maintained his protective position, despite feeling like an intruder in an intensely personal moment. "Yes," Queen Helena said finally. "I will marry you, Princess Lyra, if you're certain about accepting the challenges that decision will create for both of us." Princess Lyra's response came in the form of brilliant luminescence that filled the entire room with warm, gentle light. No words were necessary to communicate her joy and acceptance. Morrison realized he had just witnessed the first successful interspecies royal engagement in human history, setting precedent for relationships that could reshape civilization itself. The engagement announcement created immediate global reaction that tested Morrison's security protocols beyond any possible preparation. Within hours, news media from every inhabited world had dispatched representatives to cover the historic union between Queen Helena and Princess Lyra. The palace grounds became a protective nightmare, with hundreds of journalists, diplomatic observers, alien cultural specialists, and curious citizens gathering outside the security perimeter. Morrison coordinated with planetary defense forces to establish expanded protection zones while maintaining public access for legitimate coverage. Inside the palace, the newly engaged couple faced the complex task of planning a wedding that would satisfy both human and Zalithian cultural requirements, while establishing protocols for future interspecies ceremonies. Every decision carried diplomatic weight that extended far beyond personal preference. Traditional human ceremonies include religious elements that may not translate appropriately for your people, Queen Helena explained, during wedding planning discussions with Princess Lyra and their combined advisory teams. Zalithian bonding rituals require shared consciousness experiences that human neurology cannot typically achieve, Princess Lyra replied. We must create new traditions that honor both cultures without excluding either. Morrison listened to these conversations while maintaining security oversight, fascinated by the complexity of merging 2 completely different approaches to marriage and commitment. Every detail required negotiation between species with fundamentally different perspectives on relationships, spirituality, and social bonding. The solution they developed proved remarkably elegant. The ceremony would include traditional human elements familiar to Earth's population, followed by modified Zalithian rituals adapted for human participation, concluding with newly created vows that emphasize partnership across species lines. We're not just getting married, Queen Helena observed during a private moment with Princess Lyra. "We're creating a template for how different species can build lasting personal relationships. The responsibility feels overwhelming sometimes," Princess Lyra admitted. "Our happiness becomes a model for billions of individuals who might seek similar connections." Morrison noticed how their relationship had deepened during the engagement period. The diplomatic courtesy of their early interactions had evolved into genuine intimacy, with both women supporting each other through the enormous pressures of their historic position. The wedding day arrived with unprecedented security challenges. Representatives from 47 different worlds attended the ceremony, each bringing unique cultural protocols, dietary requirements, atmospheric needs, and protection considerations. Morrison's team expanded to include specialists from every major alien civilization, creating a multicultural security force that itself demonstrated the potential for interspecies cooperation. Coordination required real-time translation through 17 different communication methods. As Queen Helena walked down the aisle in her traditional white gown, Princess Lyra waited at the altar in ceremonial robes that shifted color with her emotional state. The visual contrast between human formality and alien expressiveness perfectly symbolized their remarkable union. The ceremony proceeded flawlessly, with each cultural element flowing seamlessly into the next. Human traditions provided familiar structure for Earth's population, while Zilithian rituals offered profound emotional depth that moved many guests to tears. When Princess Lyra's consciousness briefly touched Queen Helena's mind during the Zilithian bonding ritual, both women glowed with shared luminescence that filled the cathedral with gentle light. Even Morrison, focused on security protocols, felt moved by the obvious depth of connection between them. "By the authority vested in me by the people of Earth and the recognition of the Galactic Council, I pronounce you married under the laws of both worlds," declared the officiant, a respected human judge who had studied Zilithian law specifically for this ceremony. As the newly married couple shared their first kiss as wives, applause erupted from the gathered guests representing dozens of species across the galaxy. Morrison realized he was witnessing not just a wedding, but the beginning of a new era in interstellar relations. The reception celebration continued for hours, with entertainment and cuisine representing cultures from across known space. Queen Helena and Princess Lyra moved through their guests with obvious joy, their happiness evident to every observer regardless of species or cultural background. During a quiet moment between reception activities, Morrison approached the royal couple to offer his personal congratulations. "Your Majesty, Princess Lyra, it has been an honor protecting you both during this historic time. Your relationship has created possibilities that will benefit countless individuals across many worlds." Queen Helena smiled warmly at her longtime protector. "Jake, your professionalism and adaptability made this month possible. We're grateful for your service and friendship," Princess Lyra added. "Commander Morrison, your protection allowed us to build relationship without fear. That gift proves invaluable beyond any security protocol." As evening approached and guests began departing for their respective worlds, Morrison reflected on the extraordinary month he had witnessed. A joke proposal had evolved into genuine love, a diplomatic meeting had created historical precedent, and two individuals had proven that connection transcends species boundaries. The future would bring new challenges as Queen Helena and Princess Lyra navigated marriage while governing their respective peoples and serving as examples for interspecies relations throughout the galaxy. But Morrison had observed the strength of their bond, the depth of their commitment, and their genuine care for each other. As he watched them share a private dance under the stars, both women glowing with happiness and love, Morrison knew that their relationship would endure whatever obstacles the universe might present. Some connections prove strong enough to bridge any gap, and love remains the most powerful force for unity across all boundaries, whether cultural, political, or even biological. Their marriage marked not an ending but a beginning of unprecedented possibilities for cooperation, understanding, and genuine affection between species who had once been strangers, but were now family through the courage of two remarkable women who chose love over fear.